Thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. We're here with the latest news of the Montgomery County Council. Just last month, the county's 911 system experienced an interruption in service that lasted 2 hours. Notification of the outage was made to the public through social media and the county's Alert Montgomery system. However, at its most recent council session, council members were looking for answers as to what caused the outage.
So the notion that 100 people in their most frightened moment and life-threatening moment could not reach out for help, it just can never happen again.
I usually have one recurring nightmare, and this is the one. It's when I'm trying to call 911 and I can't get through. And so obviously, as you have already expressed, this is extreme concern for all of us here in the county.
Those were just a few of the concerns expressed by council members after an overview of what went wrong on July 10th when the county's 911 system went down. The outage occurred after an air conditioning unit that served the county's backup system failed, which caused a complete failure of the service. Officials were on hand to outline the details of the failure, and council members wanted to know how to keep citizens safe in case it happened again.
God forbid this would occur again, but if someone can't get through a 911, after this, now next to, on our refrigerator, there's the number for the closest fire station and the closest police station.
And the website should immediately shift over. There should be just nothing
but everybody should have either programmed in their phone or somewhere on display in their homes.
I wanted to ask
that number so that they have it immediately. If they dial 911, don't get an answer, that those are the next numbers they call.
However, Councilmember Craig Rice was not sure that was the best solution to the problem.
I think to myself, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm upstairs in bed. My cell phone is downstairs. The refrigerator is downstairs. I'm picking up my home telephone that I still have and calling 911 if there's an emergency, if I think there's somebody breaking in my house, if my house is on fire. What we immediately train people is to get out of the house as quickly as possible in those kinds of instances, not to go look at a refrigerator and call a backup number.
In all, there were 256 calls that were made to 911 during the outage, but Bill Ferretti says that number is not a true representation of the average number of calls for that particular time of day.
Those 256 calls aren't really symbolic of what would be typical for that time of night, for this time of year. It's more like closer to 100. So for instance, if you were calling and you called 5, 6, 7, 8 times, there's 8 calls right there. So that number we know is inflated. So that's why we looked at a comparable number 2 weeks earlier to try to get a realistic idea of what would be the norm.
A zoning text amendment that would prohibit all non-permanent signs in public rights-of-way has been introduced at the council. The current code allows these signs on a temporary basis by permit. However, the county has no permits on file. This measure would add enforcement to the code, providing violators notice of potential consequences to their violation.
This was introduced really in reaction to political signage during the Democratic primary. We had a lot of signs put out illegally in the right-of-way by one particular candidate, which were viewed as offensive by a number of people. Those of us who are candidates ordinarily are very careful and attentive to the rules that require, at least for political signs in particular, that you expect to be up for a while, be on private property, and you get permission.
Construction is underway at the council office building to install solar panels on the roof of the building. It's part of an initiative to generate clean solar energy at county-owned facilities. These projects will save the county $11 million in energy costs over the next 20 years.
We're really trying to go green to the extent we can, and energy efficiency is certainly a key element of all of that. So keep looking for these solar panels, and because you're going to see more of them.
The county's solar projects will reduce greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to taking 870 cars off the road or planting 100,000 trees. Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.